Hey there and welcome to another Photoshop tutorial from IceFlow Studios. And in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you a method of creating really nice, really realistic clouds just like you see in front of us. And it's going to be a lot different than the standard way that people create clouds in Photoshop, which is as follows. They create a new document, they choose their background color, which is typically a blue color for the sky, a foreground color, which is the cloud color, then they go to Filter, Render, Clouds, which gives you sort of a cloud type effect, but if we compare it to what we're going to be working with, ours is a lot more puffier, it looks a little bit more realistic, and it's a lot more customizable, and I'll show you how that works very shortly. We're going to be creating our clouds using a custom brush that we're going to create. I created this brush yesterday and I'm very happy with the results that I got. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So here we have a brand new document only with a gradient, which is going to act as our background, and you can use any color you want. You can use a gradient or a solid color, it doesn't matter. What we're going to do, we're going to grab our brush tool right over here, and we're going to start by creating a very standard soft brush. I'm going to set the diameter to 500 and the hardness to 0%. We're going to go into brush dynamics. I've done tutorials in the past of brush dynamics, so if you don't know how they work, go back to that tutorial and you'll be able to find out. So to access brush dynamics, we're going to go to Window and then Brushes. And here is our brush dynamics dialog box. Now we're going to go from top to bottom, going over all the options that we need to add. The first one, we're going to click on where it says brush tip shape. And we're going to verify a few options. We're going to make sure that our diameter is set to 500 pixels. We're going to make sure that hardness is set to 0% to give us a nice soft brush. And spacing, I'm going to set to 30%. Next in the list is shape dynamics. We're going to set the size jitter all the way up to 100%. And you'll notice down at the bottom here we have a preview of what the brush will look like. So as we scroll, the preview changes to reflect what the brush will look like. Going down, we have our control, which we're going to set to fade, and the value is going to be 20. The minimum diameter is going to be set to 20%, and the rest of the options we're going to keep as the default. Next, we're going to look at scattering. We're going to keep scattering at both axes and at 120%. Control is going to be at off, 10, 100%, and off. So the default is fine. Now the next one is texture. Texture is very, very, very important to get a good result. It's probably the most important aspect of this brush is the texture. And we're going to be using, well, the clouds texture. Now, I believe all versions of Photoshop includes this texture. All you have to do is click right here and then click on this texture right here. If we hover our mouse over it, it says clouds. Now as for the options, we're going to set the scale to 500%. Color mode is set to color burn, and I believe everything else is the default. And the last set of options in brush dynamics we're going to play with is other dynamics, which allows us to control the opacity of our brush. So the opacity is going to be set to 100%. Fade is going to be, control is going to be set to fade, 25, 0, and pen pressure. So that's the default as well. Most of the settings are default except for a few of them. Now if you don't have all these settings correct, you can go back in the video and watch them again. What we're going to do now, we're going to actually save our brush. So later on in the future, if we want to start creating clouds right away, all we have to do is select our brush and boom, we can start creating clouds. So in this dialog box at the very bottom, there's this icon, which is our create new brush icon. We're going to click on that and we now have the option to name our brush. I'm going to name it clouds and click OK. Now all we have to do later on, select our brush tool and go down to the bottom of our very long list of brushes, and here we have it, our clouds brush. Now how do we start creating clouds? Well, very simply, I'm going to start by creating a new layer. It's always very important, and selecting our foreground color, which is going to be the color of our clouds. And you can select any color you want. I'm going to select white. And all we have to do is just start clicking. I'm going to click once right there and we have this nice puffy cloud. And if we want another cloud, click again. Click, 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 click. Now that's the great thing about using brushes and brush dynamics, is that you'll never have one cloud that's exactly the same. You can have as little clouds as you want or as many clouds as you want. It's all up to you. And remember, if you want more customization, head back into your brush dynamics dialog box and play around with the settings. If you didn't catch all the settings, go back in the video and check them out again. You can also do things like use different colors for your clouds, just like this. It's fully customizable, and because it's on a new layer, you can add things like layer styles. So we can add a very slight inner shadow to give the clouds a little bit of depth. So anything you want, you can do using this method, whereas the clouds filter method is a little bit more, it's not as flexible. So anyways, I hope you learned something from this tutorial. It's definitely a very, very good method of creating clouds. You can use it wherever you want. You can use it any of your photos. You can add clouds. It's up to you. So if you're looking for more tutorials, including Photoshop, Dreamweaver, Flash, Final Cut, Illustrator is coming soon, head over to tutcast.com. If you're looking for a great Photoshop community, including Photoshop contests where you can win really great prizes, head over to photoshoptalent.com. This has been Howard from IceFlow Studios. Until next time, take care.